Okay, that's good. So okay, so in the previous session, let me scroll to the top, what we have discussed. Okay, this is week 9. Yeah, it's good. So the last week session, what we've learned is regarding this pandas. I think we just started at the time. Pandas is all related to like reading the data sets and making sure how well the data is clean and all. And then also like if the data is unclean, then how to clean it and how we can manipulate it and make sure we can meet the business expectations. So mostly talked about the Panda series, got data frames, and we did talk about the CSV files, JSON files, and until I think until there. So as I said, Pandas again is one of the Python library is used for analyzing the data a lot. So the same case with NumPy, we talk about importing pandas, import pandas. We did discussed regarding few of the examples like uh, how we can read the information and then how we can place it into the sets, right? The example like yeah, importing and reading it. That's what we've learned. And few examples like we talked about the data frames, how we can represent the data in a meaningful format, and then what are the different versions, how to identify what version of the data which we are loading it, right? So there's something called series. We got a Panda series, and it's like it's again same thing like the columns in a table. We talk about the Excel tables. Last time I've told that there are a few CSV files which I shared it across, right? Just in case. So if you look at this Excel sheet, and I'll just zoom it, maybe some people might be feeling that, okay, is it visible or not? I think this should be visible, right? So we got in data.csv, we got duration, pulse rate, max pulse, and calories. This is one of the data set which we have used in the previous examples. So that's for the Excel. So we also talked about the labels, key value pairs. We have discussed about the data frames. Yes. So how we can represent the data frame and everything. And so the pandas data frames, and yeah, we also discussed about the 2D structures, two-dimensional data structures, or like in two-dimensional arrays. So that's what we had is like, and we got calories and duration and how we can represent in 2D format, right? We got rows and columns. We got the rows, right? And also like in columns, like in calorie section and the duration. So that's one. And what else? How to locate the particular row. This is one of the thing, like, and if you got a very big large data set, how we can locate the information, and there's an option to locate also. That's what we discussed. And also the indexes. Indexing is like in every row is given a indexing, like in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, they are the indexes. And that's where we talked about the CSV files. Okay. So coming to the, we have small discussion of the JSON files also, how to read with the JSON file as well. As I told, there was a data.json, there was one file, and we discussed the data.json file as well. So reading the information in that JSON file. Okay. Okay. So coming to week 10. So this week we'll continue with this Python, the panda section. But there are few things we need to learn, like in not only just analyzing the data frames, we need to learn about the data cleaning and also the plotting. So plotting, I will discuss at the end, but talk about the cleaning. So for example, as we discussed in the last session, like we have selected this CSV file. So this is a CSV file, data.csv, right? We have the CSV file and a list of rows and columns. Nearly 170 rows are there, and we got 4 columns: duration, pulse, max pulse, and calories. So in this case, just to view the data, what we're going to do here is read CSV. So import pandas as PD, and we have the function like pd.read CSV just to read the CSV. But this time, what I've done is to read only the 10 rows. Then I've given like a print df dot head 10. That means it will return only 10 rows. It won't return all the 170 rows. Okay. It will return only the first 10 rows, like from here to here, like this. Okay. 195.1. So if it is starting with 0, then it will start from 0 to 9. Okay. So here, I think I picked only 9 rows. So here, here to here, it will be like in 10. Just in case if you want to count, yeah, 10 count. So the 10 rows, like a 269 is the one, right? You got 269. So the head will give the top 10 rows. And the read the CSV, what we need to give is PD for the pandas data frame, right? As we said, import pandas as PD. PD is the alias. PD.read CSV, when we say PD.read CSV, we need to provide the name of the CSV file and make sure that that CSV file is in the same directory. I got my Python files in this directory and also the CSV file in the same directory where I'm executing it. Otherwise, I need to give the path. I need to provide the path C:/ or D:/ where the file is residing. We need to give the full path. Here I'm not giving any full path. The reason is the file does exist in the same directory where the Python file is existing, right? So let me save. So in the next example, so what we have done, so in our example, we will be using the CSV file called data.csv. That is what we have done. Note, if the number of rows is not specified, so we are not worried about how many number of rows we required. So we just said head, right? So head method will return the top 5 or top 10. So here I said top 10, 10. So this 10 is instead of 5, I'll say 10. Okay. So 10 rows it has returned. Instead, if I say top 5, it will return only 5. If I say 20, 20. So we can specify them. And one more thing. So here the same case. Let me run this. If I run this, yeah, I got the results. And here also I'll run this. So in general, if I simply say just head, it will return only 5. The reality is I have mentioned there as 10, head 10. So it has brought up 10 rows. But in reality, if I say simply say head, it will return only the 5. So when I run this cell, I'm getting the 5 rows only. The reason behind, see 406 in the sense until here only, it is reading the data and it is displaying the data. So you got the duration, pulse, max pulse, and calories. So this is what, that's the reason it says print the first 5 rows of the data frame. So, and the same case with the tail. The head means the first 5 rows, and the tail will be the last rows. The last rows, which we try to mention. So the same case here, when I talk about the tail, see 330, 310, 310 and 320, 330. See these ones, 310, 320, 330. So the same case, 5, tail also 5. So when I say print, I just give actually there's only one single line. This is all just the information. When I say print df.tail, right, it will return the last. Okay, this is information. Sorry, over here. So when I say print df.tail, so df.tail will print the last 5 rows. Okay, 290, 300, and if you look at this information side by side, so yeah, So from here to here, look at this information carefully. So you got 60, 105, 110. So all these things, 290, 300, 310 and all. The last five values or the rows. Print the last rows of the data frame. So just in case if I want to know, print the df.info. So this is something like what we are trying to uh, get is the data frame objects has a method called info. There is an option df.info. It will try to give us the categories, like in general the data types, right? In general the data types. So like duration and pulse and max pulse and calories. Okay. So for example, it has picked 1, 2, 3, 4 something. So here it's saying we got count. So what we have over here, duration, pulse, max pulse, and calories. So here duration, pulse, max pulse, and calories. Okay. So here what it is trying to say is the integer type, right? They're all the integer types. And except these three are integer types, except this one is a float type, right? Float means we got decimals. So integer 64, integer 64, integer 64. The first three are integers, and the fourth is the floating ones, right? So how much memory it's consuming, and the indexing is like 169. 169 in the sense, first line is like a header, and it starts from second. If you look at the total count 170, but we need to remove the header. So it will be 169. So total will be 169, right? So that's what that it's trying to pick up 169, and not null in the sense neither of the column except say there is one thing. You just go through it carefully. So we have the information in all the cells except there is one thing here. If see, there's something called this float value. We don't have the value over here, 19, and there is something called 29, right? And the same thing, what it is trying to identify here is how many rows are empty also. See, if you see the calorie section, okay, the last one, calories it's given as 164 only. Why it is 164 in the sense there are five blanks. So that's the reason. If I filter the information, the Excel sheet, right? If I filter this information, and if I say we got all the information over here, and if I pick something called blanks only, see, we got 5 rows where we have calories have blank, and remaining all we have the data, duration, pulse, and max pulse. So what Python is doing is, out of the total 169 minus 5 rows which are empty, so that's giving 164. Only 164 rows have the calories information, and remaining 169 and pulse and everything, it has a full information. So we need to identify how many rows are having a second full information, like whether we have the full length information or not. So we need to identify. So let me remove this. I think I'll leave it as it is. So that's information regarding when I say df.info, it gives a clear picture, like what are the different columns and what are the data types and how much space is being utilized to store the data. This is 5.4 kilobytes. And next, okay, so this is what the results explain. These are all the results explained. The results tells us there are 169 rows and 4 columns, range indexing from 169 entries 0 to 168, and data columns total 4 columns. So just trying to give the rough information, and the names of each column with the data types will be, see, these are the things, column names, and how many not nulls are there, and count. And count, we don't have anything something like that. We don't have the not nulls. We have full information, and the D type. Okay. So coming to nulls. Nulls in the sense, I was talking about the blanks, right? So those blanks are nothing but the nulls only. So here the information info method we have used, right? df.info. So the info method also tells us how many not null values there are present in each column, right? That's what we have discussed. 164, the columns, calories have 164, and max pulse, duration, everything we have 169 rows. So, and in our data set, it seems like there are 164 of 169 calories, not nulls in the calorie section. Yeah, that's what we're talking about, which means there are 5 rows with no values at all in the calories column. So for whatever the reason, right? So empty values or null values can be bad when analyzing the data. It means it's not good sign to compare something. We can't simply say that, okay, we cannot come to a conclusion saying that, okay, we got 169 rows, but whereas the calories information we got only for 164, right? And you should consider removing rows with empty values. So how to remove the null values? That's what we need to deal with. So this is a step towards what is called cleaning, what we call as a data cleaning, and you'll learn more about in this next chapter. So in this next sessions, okay. So that's what we are trying to uh, explain now. Okay. So here, pandas cleaning data. So it's like when we talk about the data cleaning, right? How we're going to clean the data. So what are the different types? Uh, where are the different areas which needs to be focused on? So data cleaning means fixing bad data in your data set. Bad data could be like an empty cells, uh, data in the wrong format, wrong data, or the duplicates. Okay. So for this, I got one more example. Uh, to pick up, like okay, I let me show you the data set. There is one more data set which I'm having in front of me. I'll just highlight it. So in this case, let me zoom it. Okay, I think it is now visible, right? So here I got something called date and duration, date, pulse, max pulse, and calories. But if I scroll down slowly, so here calories. Calories means here I got some empty cells calories, right? That's a defect. And also the date. Date is missing in this case. Date for row 45, it's missing. And also the data format is different in this case, right? So these are all the differences, right? So to identify. So this is an example. So d data.csv, that's a file name which I will be using it. So let me, okay, this since it's a CSV, I'll leave it like that. Okay, let me come back. So we have seen like an empty cells, how many empty cells are there, and where the data is in the wrong format, like in, it's not in the proper format, and the wrong data or the duplicates. So in this session, you will learn how to deal with all this, all of them. The data set contains some empty cells, date in row 22, calories in row 18 and 28. So, and also the data set contains wrong data format. Okay. The data set contains the wrong data also. So where it is wrong, I just mentioned. So, and also the data set contains duplicates. Okay. 11 and 12. So let's get into the deeper section, right? So cleaning. So we'll talk about first thing about the empty cells. Okay, how to clean the empty cells. So empty cells can potentially give a wrong results when you analyze the data. Okay, for example, there are 100 students in a class who have attempted for the test, and if there is no data in this mark sheet list for 5 people, we can't judge the average, right? So unless until if you have the marks, we can understand the average. But if there are any empty cells or like an missing information, we need to first clean this missing information and make sure we got a clean data. So same case here also, we're trying to clean the empty cells. So one way to deal with empty cells is to remove rows that contain empty cells. Okay, this is usually okay since the data set can be very big, and removing a few rows will not have a big impact on the results. So here the very first thing what we need to do is return the new data frame with no empty cells. So let's see here I said ddata.csv. So the command to make sure that to remove this, see, return a new data frame with no empty cells. So what I'm doing is there is something called I'm using drop NA, right? So import pandas as PD, as you all already know, and also to read the data frames, and say df equals to pd dot read CSV and the CSV file name. So here what we are using is df dot drop na, and then reading the information. So if you look at this information over here, did you recognize there was one row where there is no date at all, right? So here we don't have that blank. So that's what it has been returned. Let me run this. Okay. So we got a date, a duration, date, pulse, max pulse, and calories. So what we're trying to achieve over here, by default, the drop NA method returns a new data frame and will not change the original one. Okay. So let me open up this CSV file again. All right. So if you look at this one carefully, out of this data set, there is something called 45 and blank data. I think I should zoom it. Right? So duration, date, pulse, max pulse, calories, and over here, row number 24, 45, and date is blank. And when I run over here, when I said drop NA, right? So here we don't have that one, right? So we have some information, but very something. We don't have any row where we have this empty date, right? So here what we're getting, so 20, 19, 20, 21, okay, and after 21 whatever we have is 23. See, 19, 20, 21, 23. So here this information 100, 119 and 282. So we won't be having that particular row. So that is what we are trying to say. So in that case, so we'll be getting the information and it will be suppressed. So let's go to the another example. So what I'm saying is, if by default the drop NA method returns a new data frame and will not change the original one, right? If you want to change the original data frame and use, there is something called in place. In place equals to true argument. So what it is trying to say is remove all rows with null values. Okay. So this time, let me run it. Okay. So the command which I've used, df dot drop na, where in place equals to true. So if you look at the number of rows, so remove all rows with null values. So here we don't have anything. Let me scroll it down. Yeah. So here, just look at all the cells. We have the information, right? So is there any other cell where we have missing values? There is no such cell. So that is what it's trying to do here. Okay, let's see the information. Now the drop NA in place equals to true will not return the new data frame, but it will remove all rows containing null values from the original data frame, right? So that's what it's trying to say. So here we got this one is blank, row 30, and something, this one is blank, right? 20. So we got two rows where we have the blanks for the calories section. So that's what it's trying to say. You have to use a command called in place equals to true. So let's take one more example, replacing empty values. How we can replace the empty values? Okay, another way of dealing with empty cells is to insert a new value instead. Okay, so what we're trying to do is, this way you do not have to delete entire row just because of some empty cells. There is something called fill NA. Okay, so there is something called fill NA, and we need to specify what value you want to fill in with. So here what I'm saying is, these two lines are common, right? Import the import pandas as PD and PD dot read CSV. So the new line what we have here is df dot fill NA 130 in place equals to true. So when I run this, so where it is showing 130, just okay, when I say print df dot to string 130. Locate 130. 130, we have something at line number as a row number 22. Why? Because within this Excel sheet, that row has blank information, right? So let me say, okay. Okay. So 45, and we got 130 here, and 45 is actually blank, right? So what Python is doing is it's replacing the blank with some value, but we need to specify the value. We are saying that, okay, replace with 130, right? So that is what it's trying to say. And also there are two other bits and pieces, right? So here we got 130, line number 18 for calories, and also line number 28 with 130. See, so same case, line number 30, right? So same case, that's what I said, right? So we got date 28. Yeah, see, 2020, 12, 28, and 130. But here the calories was missing. And there is something again over here, 45. So 45 in the sense, let me scroll little bit up. Okay. And 45 and 20, right? Line number 20. Yes. So this is the one. See, 20. Okay. We got line number 20, 45 value. And here the same, the date format is all fine. I think it shuffle, I think. Okay, let me see. So 90 and 112, 90 and 112. Where do you have this 90 and 112? 90, yeah. See here in this case. See 90 and 112. So this is what it's been replaced. So the ultimate goal is to make sure that you fill with certain value. You have to fill with certain value 130. Whatever the value we say, 130 replace with 130, it will replace with 130. If I say replace with 120 or something else, it will replace with the same value. But the command is df dot fill na 130 in place true. So let's get to the other bit. Replace only the specified columns. We can do like that. We can simply say replace only with the specified columns. Okay. So, but what I'm saying here is after reading this CSV, reading the data, df calories dot fill na 130 in place true. Only the calories I'm trying to say, right? See here for this 2245 NaN, it's like when I say NaN means it's not the date. Okay, let me give the information. I think, yeah, not a time. It's NAT. It's not the, it's actually here is null. Null will be represented as NaN. So when I say NaN means it's null, but here it's not replacing this section of date. It is replacing only the section where it says calories. See, calories filled with 130. So calories, everything is all full. We got 130 over here is, which is blank being replaced with 130, and here also. So intention is to replace only a particular column. So just focus on calories and replace with 130 where the calories are blank. So that's a good idea that we don't need to replace the whole columns or like in all the columns. But now we'll see one more example like in how we can handle this NaN and also this date format also. So it's all the part of the cleaning the data. First we need to clean the data and then we can analyze it for a particular purpose. So here pandas cleaning data or the wrong format. A wrong format in the sense, how do you say which is a wrong format? So here data of a wrong format, cells with data of the wrong format can make it difficult or even impossible to analyze the data. So to fix it, you have two options: remove the rows or convert all the cells in the columns into the same format, right? So in our data frame, we have two cells with the wrong format. Check out 22 and 26. The date column should be string that represents the data. See here that the data is not in the proper format or like in total blank. Here also it says 2021 to 26. the slashes are missing, right? So when I say print the data, so print df.toString, so we have the information over here. We're just trying to print the information. So let's try to convert all cells to the date columns into the let's try to convert all cells in the date column into dates. So for that, pandas has toDate function method for this. Example, convert to date. So what it is trying to say is that too we need to focus on the date column only. So df date means, so pick up the date column. Okay, pick up only the date column over here. So here pick up only the date column and make sure the column has the right format, date format. Okay, so here the function is pd.toDate of df date. So with this line, what it is giving is, see, look at this format is being changed, right? So here is 2020/12/20, and look at this format 2020 hyphen 12 hyphen 4. So all the date formats have been in the proper format, including, so there is one which is missing, but this has which line it has fixed is 26, line number 26, 60, and this one. See here 26, 60, and 2020 -12 -26. So this has been fixed. So that's the advantage. The date format has been fixed. But here handling the null, it can't do in this case. When I say pd.toDates, it can't do this handling the nulls. It can only convert into a proper data format. So one more thing. So to handle this bit also, how to handle this NAT or like a null, right? How to handle? As you can see from the results, the data date in row 26 were fixed. Yeah, this is what it's been fixed. But the empty data in the row 22 got NAT, not a time, right? So it's NAT means not a time. It's not in the time dimension, like in time format, right? NAT. So not a time value. So in other words, an empty value. One way to deal with the empty value is simply removing the entire row. Okay. So here, when I say removing rows, so the results from the converting in the simple example gave us NAT, right? So which can be handled as a null value, and we can remove the rows by using drop NA method. Okay, remove rows with the null value in the date column. Okay, so this is what we are trying to deal with. So let me run this. Okay, so here after this also, if I want to read it, so let me see what it is doing. Okay, so look at this data carefully. Okay, so if you look at this data carefully, what I did one single line, df.drop_na subset date in place equals to true. So this single line, what it is trying to do is it has removed that line. Okay, and it has arranged it properly. All right. So here, if you look at this one, we got the data, and and also what it is doing, removing rows with a null value in the date column. That's what it has done. Okay. So that's one of the example in data cleaning, like removing the rows. Okay. So let's go to the other format, the wrong data. So here what I've selected is this is like in a wrong format. Okay, this is a wrong format. For example, this one is in the wrong format, and now we'll deal with what I say, fixing the wrong data. Okay, so like pandas fixing the wrong data. So wrong data does not have to be empty cells. Okay, let's say, for example, how to deal in this case. Okay, let me give the information. So I just need to arrange it. So here we will be dealing with fixing the wrong data. So it's not the format, they're fixing the wrong data. So wrong data does not have to be empty cells or the wrong format. Okay, it can just be wrong. Like if someone has registered 199 instead of 1.99, see, that's the wrong data, right? How to deal with. So sometimes you can spot wrong data by looking at the data set. Okay, because you have an expectations of what it should be like, right? For example, the date of birth or like in date format. So date you can simply judge like it should have month, or it should have the day, and it should have the uh, MMDDYY, right? Like in month and also the year. So those are the primary prerequisites which we identify whether it is in a proper format or not. So here, if you have to take a look at our data set, you can see that in row 7, the duration is 450. See, look at this data. See, the duration is 450. This one. Everything is like 60. I think it is like in 60 minutes or seconds, like an duration, but 450 is something different, right? If you look at the data set, you can see 7 rows, like duration is 450, but for all the other rows, the duration is between 30 and 60, right? Did you guys observe? You got 30 or else we got 60, but not only one row with 450. So that is also, we can treat as it's something wrong, right? So it doesn't have to be wrong, but taking into consideration that this is the data set is something works out. Okay, let me fix in a proper frame. Okay, it's a minutes. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be wrong, but taking into consideration that, so this is a data set of something, it's regarding the workout sessions. So workout session in the sense 450 minutes. So 450 minutes, if someone is trying to work out, okay, and divided by 60, it's like in 7.5 hours. It obviously, if someone goes to a gym, I don't think they will be continuously working or taking workout for 7.5 hours. Rather, they might work out for 60 minutes or 30 minutes. So this is something like an outlier, we would say. But what we're trying to say is it's like a wrong data. So the format, it's something different, or like an here 450 in the sense. So it is something different with the other values. So we conclude that the fact that this person does not work out for 40 minutes. Why? Because 7.5 hours. So that is something different. So when I try to read the information in the same case, to read the information, if I run the command, right? So print df.toString. So duration, we have 450. But all other values are like in 60 or 30 or 45, we have it. So how to deal with, how we can fix the values like in the duration, row 7. So yeah, this one, how we going to fix it, how to handle this kind of data. So how we can fix wrong values like the ones for the duration, the row number 7. Row number 7 will be like 450, right? So in this case, there is an option like replacing the values. Okay, so the replacing the values in the sense, as you already know, there is something called, you need to identify the location and also replace. So to identify the location, there is a command, as I already told you. Okay, so in this case, there's something called replacing the values. So here, one way to fix the wrong values is replace them with something else, right? So in our example, what we have seen earlier, it is most likely a typo. If someone has mistakenly typed 450 rather than instead of 45, that could be obvious, or it could be like 50 minutes, or it could be 45 minutes, right? So to fix that, we need to take in charge and we need to identify and add a value should be like in 45 instead of 450, and and we should insert 45 in the row 7. So for that example, what I'm trying to say here is, so let me comment it. So in the example, so set the duration 45 in row 7. So this is also comment. So the only one single line, what I'm doing is df.lock location 7, row 7, and duration equals to 45. Okay. And this time, if I read back the same information, print df dot toString, and if I go down and say run, so look at this, 7, we got 45. See, now the data has been cleaned, and especially the data which we think that this is out of the usual behavior, we have fixed it. The simple line like df dot log, and log means location 7 and duration equals to 45, right? So it's 450 been replaced with 45 over here. So let me save this. So that is one of the thing. And also next step, what we'll be learning is to talk about the removing duplicates. There is one more thing, just in case if you have like an multiple, if you have multiple sets, we can still look for this option, like, and how we can replace multiple locations also. We can do that. Then for that, we can use a loop as well. If you want to utilize for multiple locations, there is an option. We can use a for loop or something like that. And there is something called removing rows also. We can remove the rows. So just for your information, I will give the theoretical information. Okay. So just in case, so this is for your understanding only, like in theoretically, like for example, the data sets, you might be able to replace the wrong data one by one instead of replacing one by one row, each and every row. If you got thousands of rows, it will be difficult to handle all the rows. So the other way around is to use the for loop. Okay, to replace the wrong data for a large data set, you can create some rules. Okay, like set some boundaries for legal values and replace the values uh, that are outside of the boundaries. Example, like can loop through all the values in the duration columns. Like if the value is higher than 120, set it to 120. Okay, for x in df dot index. See, I'm simply saying if it is if the value is greater than 120, set to 120. That's simply the condition which I'm trying to give. So I'm setting a rule so that wherever you see the duration is more than 120, simply set it to 120. That's a blind rule which are trying to frame it. So this is one of the best example, I would say. In reality, I would say we can I can say something like this. Okay, I'm removing the comments. So I'm not going to apply in this case, but I'm just trying to say that this is what fix x in df dot index. If df location duration greater than 120, ultimately set it equals to 120. So this is an example only. Okay. So just in case randomly, you can fix all the rows. Wherever you see something above 120, just fix it to 120. So that's a blind rule which we can say. That's one of the good example to set it as the loops. And there is one more thing, like removing rows also. We can also remove all the rows blindly. We don't need to wait. So in this case, let me give the example, like removing the rows by setting up the rules, removing the rows. Another way of handling wrong data is to remove the rows that contains the uh, wrong data. So this way, you do not have to find what to replace with. You don't need to say, okay, replace with this or something like that. You just simply remove it. So to handle this, so what we're trying to say is delete rows where duration is higher than 120. So this is one of the example. So here, what I'm trying to say here is, if I give the comments over here, okay. So the same case for loop for x in df dot index. Here, if df dot location, whatever the location name, we don't know the location name, but duration greater than 120, simply say drop, df dot drop, and in place equals to true. So this line will automatically remove all the rows where the duration is greater than 120. So then the data will be clean, but we need to make sure that there are no abnormalities, like an, okay, we got 120 plus duration, or like an we are handling the wrong data. So instead of handling the wrong data, try to make sure the data is clean. So that's the reason. This is also one of the example. Okay. And let's talk about the last topic in this case is removing the duplicates. Okay, how to remove the duplicates? There are few examples in an Excel sheet, like in pandas removing the duplicates. So duplicate rows are rows that are being registered more than one time. For example, in this case, have you guys identified any duplicates? Okay, I will tell you some. If you look at 12 and 12, see. So in this case, so these two lines are the duplicates. Okay, so these two lines are the duplicates. How are you going to handle this? So here, if I say highlight this, let me say, see, we got 60 and 60. We got the same date, same pulse rate, same max pulse, and the same calories. So we got duplicates. So how are we going to handle this? So this is a scenario to handle the duplicates. So let me give some information like in contents. So I'll add it for here. So by taking a look at the data test data set, we can assume that row 11 and 12 are duplicates. So this is what I am saying. Okay. So here these two. Okay. So especially these two. So 1, 2, 3. Actually, I need to count it, but it's okay. Let me say starting with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Yeah, it's actually 12 and 13. So 12 and 13 are the duplicates. So rather, I would say 12 and 13 are duplicates. To discover duplicates, we can use something called duplicated method. Okay. So the duplicated method returns a Boolean value for each row. Okay. So returns true for every row that is duplicate, otherwise false. Okay. So that is what we're trying to say. So here, what I will do here is I'll just comment it. Right. Okay. So print df dot duplicate. So look at this data. What we got it over here is, see, it says 0 false, 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 and there is something called 12 true, and remaining all false, false, false. The reason what it is trying to say is, see, this particular row is a duplicate, right? So it's like an odd man out. So we have all the values, but over here there is a duplicate row. So simply I given one line print df dot duplicated. So it has converted all the values where there are no duplicates to false, but where there is a duplicate, it's showing as true. So this is the advantage to identify. First, we need to identify the duplicate row, right? Then we need to remove it. So we have identified it. And how we are going to remove it? To remove it, there is an option, right? Drop. So that's what we're trying to drop it. So let me give the information to drop it, right? So here, if you look at this line, simply removing duplicates. To remove the duplicates, use the drop underscore duplicates method. Example, okay. So what we are trying to give is remove all the duplicates. So df dot drop duplicates implies equals to true. So if I run this, okay, it won't show anything unless and until I give the print command. So this time again, I need to give the print command, print df dot toString. Okay, so that will give this thing. Okay, and let me know if there is a duplicate one still existing or not. So 12, right? So what was the one? This one. These two, 100, 120, 250.7. Okay, 215.7. Yeah, this one. See, we got 100, 120, 250.7. So we got only one row over here. But whereas in the Excel sheet, okay, in this Excel sheet, let me highlight it. So in this Excel sheet, we have 2 rows, right? But when I given the command like in df dot drop duplicates in place equals to true, and then when I say print df dot to string, so the duplicate record has been removed. So simply saying that it just drop the duplicates, identify the duplicates, and then drop it. So there's a good example, I would say. One is to identify if you want to know, okay, I want to identify, just find out print df dot duplicates duplicated. That means it will simply convert and it will give the information, right? And to remove it completely, just df dot drop duplicates in place equals to true, and I'm giving the print command. Rather, I can use here only, right? I can cut this one and rerun. So it has removed that row where it has got the duplicates over here, right? You got 100, 120, 250.7. There's only one single row, but here we got 2 rows in an Excel sheet. So that's what the case is to removing the duplicates. So with this, we have learned commands like and how to handle the data and all, and how we can clean the data and how we can identify the wrong format or the wrong data. So this is what we have learned. So let's start with the example. Okay, remember the in place equals to true. See this one, in place equals to true. We'll make sure that the method does not return a new data frame, but it will remove all the duplicates from the original data frame. Okay, so it is not replacing anything. So when we say in place equals to true, it is not replacing anything, but rather it is removing all the duplicates, right? So that is what we're trying to do it over here. So only the duplicate rows have been removed. So let's talk about this thing, matplotlib. As I told you, let me give the information. So I talk about matplotlib. So here, matplotlib in the sense, if I say matplotlib, what is matplotlib? The very first thing you might think. Okay, so let's give. Let me give something about matplotlib. Okay. So what is matplotlib? So matplotlib is a low-level graph plotting library in Python. So matplotlib is used for graphical representations. So especially, and I'll give you some information. So matplotlib is a low-level graph plotting library in Python that serves as a visualization utility. Matplotlib was created by John D. Hunter, and it's all open source, and we can use it freely. Matplotlib is mostly written in Python, and few segments are written in C and Objective-C and the JavaScript for platform compatibility. So rather, I'll give comments just in case if someone wants to run these lines and all. So it will be easy that it won't throw the error message. So I can simply say matplotlib and I can open up and I can print it over here. So see something called matplotlib.org. So this is a site, matplotlib visualization with Python. You get all the graphs. So far we have seen the data, but how well I can achieve in the graphical representation. So I want to see the data in the graphical representation format. So I have to use this matplotlib. So for that case, it says what is matplotlib in the sense that's what it says, and plotting library in Python. Okay, so you got a lot of information on the internet also. So one thing you need to learn is before using this a matplotlib, that you need to make sure that you got matplotlib on your machine, and like an installation of matplotlib, that is important. and make sure that you install it. It's easy, simple, as I said, and it's using the command like pip install matplotlib. I've given the commands for numpy and pandas also, right? The same case, there is something called uh, pip install matplotlib. So if I go to the command prompt, okay, if I go to the command prompt cmd command prompt and open up, and here you can type in pip install matplotlib, right? So it's trying to collect the information, it's downloading it and installing. Okay, it's all done. So we need to make sure that we have this tool or library so that we can use it. So first thing is installation. So you make sure that you got a matplotlib, and just in case if it fails, and you use Anaconda, as I said, but it's easy. As I told you, right, you can use the Anaconda navigator, and which it will bring all the information automatically. They got the labs and everything. So you simply use a Jupyter Notebook lab, and it will automatically bring everything into this place. And importing, how we are going to import and how we're going to check the version of this matplotlib, we're going to learn. So let me add this information over here. So if you want to import, so if you want to import matplotlib, you just use the command import matplotlib, just as in case you guys have learned over here, like for pandas, right? So where is this command? So it's like an import pandas as PD, right? The same case, we'll be using this matplotlib also, right? So first of all, import matplotlib. That's a command which will be using it. So again, once we have imported, it is ready to use. Okay. So once matplotlib is installed, and import it in your applications by adding import module statement. So this is a main statement, right? So now the matplotlib is imported and ready to use. Checking the version. Okay, the version string is stored under the command. Okay, let me give the instructions and how to see what version of matplotlib which we are using it. So we got import matplotlib and print matplotlib dot version. So 3.2.2, this is the version which we're using it. So the commands, I'll put it in comments. Okay. So talk about matplotlib, right? So I'll just highlight it into separate bit. Okay. So just in case someone wants to know what we are talking about matplotlib. So we know what kind of version we are using, and how to install matplotlib. Now let's see the plots. There's something called pyplots. Okay. So for example, most of these things, it's very simple. Okay. You don't need to worry. I'll give a simple example. Okay. So for example, most of the matplotlib utilities lies under pyplot submodule and are usually imported under the PLT alias. So if you look at this command here, okay, import matplotlib.pyplot as PLT, right? So in simple case, so what are the things which you're trying to do? So from here to here, okay, let me comment this section so that it will be easy for you. Okay, so from here to here. So what I'm talking is, here we are talking about this pyplots. Most of the matplotlib utilities lies under the pyplot submodule and are usually imported under the PLT alias. Alias in the sense we call as a PLT, uh, just for to represent matplotlib.pyplots, right? So import matplotlib.pyplot as PLT. So now the pyplot package can be referred as PLT. Okay. So what kind of example which we are looking at? Draw a line in a diagram from the position 0.0 to 0. To the position 6 comma 250. Okay, so if I run this, look at this one. Okay, so as you know in mathematics, like an x-axis and the y-axis, right? The same case, you got x-axis 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you got a y-axis 0, 50, 100, 150, 200, and 250. And I just want to draw the single lines. To get this single line, x points and y points and everything. So I've got like in 6 lines of code I have written. So the very first thing is import matplotlib.pyplot as PLT. And we also need a NumPy, import NumPy as NP. Why? Because we got two arrays, right? So one array is with a 0 to 6, and one array is with 0 to 250. Like I'm saying that x points and y points, and np dot array 0, 6, and also for y points, like in y axis, np dot arrays. Okay, so the other way around also, I can simply say x axis and y axis also to get the confusion as well. Okay, x axis I can say, and also I can say y axis. So it's a simple terms to understand, like an x axis and y axis. So when I say plt dot plot x axis comma y axis, so then I'll say plt dot show. When I run this, it gives the same thing. The only thing is to simplify to get rid of the confusion. So we got we have used import and numpy as np to make sure that we're using the arrays. Okay, to get this one 0 to 250 and 0 to 6, we need to mention, right? So that's what. So what you have learned so far is you learn more about the drawings in this next example, like something called plotting. So as I said, matplot lib pyplot, right? Okay, now I'll give you an example like plotting. I won't take long. I would take around like in 15 to 20 minutes, as I will be concluding this as in last session, right? So just bear with me. Most probably in next 25 minutes, I will be concluding it. But I just want to cover this matplotlib section so that you guys can utilize for visualization. So plotting. So what are the different things which we can use, right? So let me give this information, right? So here, plotting x and y points, the plot function is used to draw the points, like in markers in a diagram. So I will show you the diagram very soon. By default, the plot function draws a line from point to point. The function takes parameters for specifying points in the diagram. Parameter 1 is an array containing the points on the x-axis. Parameter 2 is an array containing the points on the y-axis. If you need to plot a line from 1 to 3 and 8 to 10, we have to pass two arrays, 1 to 8 and 3 to 10, to the plotting function. So let me give you this example. Let me give this example. Okay, so here I just need to comment it, right? So here example, what I'm trying to do in this case is, so draw a line in a diagram from a position 1, 3 to the position 8, 10. So what we're drawing here, okay, let me comment this. So the same commands, import matplotlib, okay, matplotlib.pyplot as plt and x points and y points, okay. So this time I'm saying 1 to 8 and 3 to 10. And so when I run it, so here look at this one. So 1, 3. So 1, 3 will be like, okay, let me minimize this bit. Okay, it's too much reduced, right? Okay. So let me come to this section. Okay. So yeah. So 1, 8. So look at this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 1, 8. And here 3, 10. It started with 3, not with 1. See 3, 4, 5, 6 to 10. So this is what I'm trying to say. So what we're trying to draw a line in a diagram with the position starting with 1, 3 and 8 to 10. So see 1, 3. 1, 3 means this is the intersection 1, 3, starting with from 1 to 1, 3 and 8 and 10. So when I say this for this particular point, like an intersection of 8 and the 10. So that is what I'm trying to say, right? So it's a simple line. So the x-axis is the horizontal axis and the y-axis is the vertical axis. So we're talking about x-axis and the y-axis, right? So x-axis is the horizontal axis and the y-axis is the vertical axis. So plotting without the line. So if I say I don't want the line at all, and I just need to plot the same thing, and how we're going to plot it. Okay. So in this case, if I comment it, okay. So I'm giving a same example, but this time what I'm trying to say is, okay, I'll close the comments over here. So to plot only the markers, you can use shortcut string notation parameter O, which means rings. Draw 2 points in the diagram, one at point 1, 3 and other at point position 8, 10. And when I run this, see, what is the difference, right? So what is the smallest difference which you have identified? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the x-axis, 1 to 8, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 until 10, the y-axis. And p dot plot x points, y points, and O notation. Like that means the dots. Okay. When I say p dot show, it is showing the plot. Right. This time I'm not giving the line. So the only difference is see p dot plot. So there are two things which you can learn in this case. So when I say, see, when I say p dot plot x points and y points, p dot show, it's giving the line. But when I give these two lines, okay, and the command, okay, let's just zooming, right? Okay, yeah. When I give these two lines, like an plt dot plot x points, y points, and O, so we're getting the dots only. So we just need to identify what we need to use and when we need to use, so that it will be easy to manipulate it and show. So this time I'll say multiple points. Okay. So I will give one more example, like multiple points. So multiple points in the sense, let me get into the deeper section. So you can plot as many points as you like. Just make sure that you have the same number of points in both both the axes, right? So let me give this example. Okay. So import matplotlib as pyplot as plt. Import matplotlib dot pyplot as plt and import numpy as pl, right? Numpy as np. So what we're giving is array 1, 2, 6, and 8, 3, 8, 1, and 10. So when you run this, look at this information. So the 1, 2, 6, and 8, right? So 1, 2, 6, and 8. So it's giving the marking, and also 3, 8, 1, and 10. 3, right? And also 8, right? Sorry, 3 and 8, right? And also 1 and 10. So we just need to see x-axis and the y-axis, right? So where it is starting and where it is ending, and also when I say plt dot plot x points and y points, right? So we got multiple positions. So here the intersection, you can simply say here like a 2 and 8, and also here is like a 6 and 1 intersection, like, and here is like 8 and 10. So 8 and 10 intersection, and here 2 and 8. So 1 and 3. So here it will be 3 and it will be 1. So we just need to notify this 1 and 3, 2 and 8, okay, and 6 and 1, and 8 and 10. It's like simply multiple points which we are donating, and then it's matching. So just in case if I say that no, I don't want any lines or something like that, you just add this thing. like in notation at the end, and it would definitely, it will say that okay, you're not going to unmatched. Okay, it's not in a it's only for two notations, right? Okay, that's good. So we're not going the notation of dots one. Let me see. Okay, okay. Wait, I think I copied that extra bracket also. That's the thing. Yeah, I copied the extra bracket. Yeah. So this is what the notation. Yeah. So instead of having the lines, I'm saving this O notation like in dots. I'm getting only the dots over here. Rather, if I want to say that I don't want the dots, I just need the lines. Just remove that, and plt dot plot x points and y points and show. So this time I get the lines, right? So let's do one thing, one more example like this time. If I want something like in line style, so that is something like matplotlib lines. If I want to have something called matplotlib line, so there's one good example over here. So line style, you can use a keyword argument line style, or like in shorten ls to change the style of the plotted line example. So use a dotted line, right? So when you are saying the use a dotted line, I'm giving the comments. Right. So here, what we are getting is I'm getting the lines, but the dotted ones. What I'm denoting here is I'm giving the array, defining the array and everything. So it says plt dot plot y points line style equals to dotted. So that's how we're getting the lines over here, right? So that is one of the examples. So we can still have something like an dashed also, just in case if I change this section like an line style equals to dashed and say show this same thing. And if I run this one, so this time I'll get the lines, right? Instead of the dots. The only thing is that line style equals to dashed, and here the line style equals to dotted. So that's a difference. And I can give something. I can give one my own style also, or like I can specify something like plt dot plot y points ls equals to something. So when I say this, and when I say show, see, uh, so it will be like in two dots. It will be slightly different, but more or less, I would say like in shorter syntax. Okay, it's like what I mean to say is it's I'm talking about the shorter syntax. So over here, let me give this information. Okay, I'm talking about the shorter syntax. The line style can be written in a shorter syntax. Line style can be written as ls. Dotted can be written as dots dot, and dashed can be written as dash dash example, and shorted syntax. So these two are the commands, right? Okay, let me give this one. Okay, so to understand, okay, so it's like an shorter syntax. So it's a dotted lines. So instead I can mention something like this: plt dot plot y plot ls equals to is all the dotted formats. It will uh, notify like an. So instead of having this format like in line style equals to dotted or something like that, the other way around, which we can give is like in short form format ls line style, okay, equals to colon, which were given. Okay, there are certain other types also wherein you can use instead of styles or whatever. So let me see. So there's something called for the solid line, for the dotted lines, for the dashed lines, or this dash dotted or something like that. So we have this information. Okay, nuns also. So there are multiple ways where you can notify it. Okay, so there are certain examples. You can use the coloring as well, like in what kind of color you want to apply for this one, and also so I'll give one more shorter example. Like if I say run this, see R for red color. Okay, so color equals to. So this is the extra feature which we have it. Like if you want to apply the color to it, there are other ways also. You can give the color notation as well, rather than the color format, like color code, which we call as. If I give the same thing, it should bring up like an color coding, like in green. So it's like an plot with a beautiful line green. So with this case, so plot with a beautiful green line. So this command to get the green color, we have that command. And we got multiple other options as well, like so before heading into some other examples, I'll give one example. I can create a labels for the plot as well. I want to know, I want to give a label. I don't have the labels here for the x-axis and the y-axis, right? So I can create the labels for this graphs as well. Like I want to provide an axis, x-axis so and so label, and for y-axis so and so label. Okay. So in this case, I got the same thing, arrays np dot array, and you got one array x-axis for one for the y-axis. But instead of showing this, I'm also giving the labels x label and a y label. Okay, and then show it. So this time when you run this, see, you got calories, okay, burnage and average pulse. So these two lines are making the difference, right? So if I won't give this, it will simply give this plot. It's all good. But for the end user, if there's a customer is there, okay, we'll say, well, what is this 320, 300 nodes? But rather I would say I will give a proper naming convention to the x-axis and the y-axis, and that it will give some meaningful information. Okay, this one y-axis is the calories burnt and x-axis is the average pulse, right? So this is one of these best example, I would say. And we can still give something like in grid lines as well, just to make sure that, okay, adding grid lines will give some, everything is all blank, right? So this time I want to add some grid lines as well. So to add the grid lines, there is a feature as well. So to add the grid lines, like something called plt.grid. Okay, so far we know that how to plot this graph, but this time I'm adding the grid line feature. Okay, so let's take this example. Okay, so if you look at the same thing, I've given the labeling as well. Like, and we got x-axis and the y-axis array, and we got a title and giving the title, x label and y label, and a plotting and grid and show. And when I run this, look at this, how cool it is. So Python can do a lot of things. It's like we got x-axis calories burnt and the y-axis, x-axis average pulse and the y-axis calories burnage, and also the title. Okay, sports watch data, something like that. I've given the naming. Okay, so matplotlib adding grid lines to a plot with pyplots. You can use the grid function to add grid lines to a plot. Example, adding grid lines. Okay, this is so I can give again a few more examples. So there's another way also, like in which grid line you want to show, that also you can specify. If you think that no, I don't want to show all the grid lines, there is an option to show particular grid lines only. So instead of having to show all the grid lines, like uh, let me give this example. Okay, so this time when I run this, I get only some what is say vertical vertical grid lines, not the horizontal grid lines. The reason behind, say, I given like a grid axis equals to x, so that is making the difference. So simply here, instead of saying grid, it is giving the whole grid lines for x-axis and the y-axis. So these are all the grid lines. and I'm saying axis equals to X. So just in case if I say axis equals to Y, so it will definitely make a difference, right? See, axis equals to Y-axis. So that's the reason I'm making the changes. Axis equals to X-axis. It's giving the vertical ones, or else for the horizontal. So that's an one of the best example. And let's see something we have like an subplot function. Let me give one example. So like in displaying multiple plots. Okay. So to display multiple plots, there will be a scenario where you guys need to show the results to the customer saying that, okay, you want to show multiple plots at the same time. So how are we going to do that? So in that case, displaying multiple plots, there is an option called subplot function. Okay. So in this case, you got import. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we have to draw two plots at the same time. How are we going to do that? Okay. So here, what we have is import matplotlib, everything is all fine. But here I'm saying plot one, I'm defining an array. Okay. For plot two, I'm defining an array. It's simply saying that I'm adding the two codes and trying to show plotting it and showing it at the same time. It's very fairly simple. See, one plot, I got an array of 0, 1, 2, 3, and 3, 8, 1 to 10. So here in the plot, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 10, 2, and everything. So I'm showing the values, right? So make sure that plots, whatever I'm giving, I know what to do it. And you just need to identify what the user is expecting and what we're trying to show it. Okay. And got some more examples. One is a scatter plot, bar, and histogram. I think four more examples I'll give it. So this is one of the interesting one in this Python session, I would say. So scatter in the sense you create a scatter plot. Okay, very simple scatter plot. So this time, so you're using the same thing, but there's a function called scatter function. Okay, there is a function called scatter function. So creating the scatter plots with pyplots, you can use a scatter function to draw the scatter plots. The scatter function plots one dot for each observation. It will show the dots. It will show in the dotted format like an scattered one. So I will show you in next few seconds. Okay. So there's something called plot dot scatter x comma y, and when I run it, so look at this thing. We got the scattered dots. So it's fairly simple. What you're trying to say is scatter plt dot scatter x comma y. So plt dot show. So that's what it's showing, this scatter plot. Okay. So let's pick up one more example like in bar. So bar is very normal one. You guys have seen it in multiple cases. So this time I'm going to show the bar chart, I would say. Okay. So the matplotlib creating the bars, and with same case with we are using the same thing of pyplots. You can use bar function. Okay. This time I want to draw 4 bars. Okay. So import matplotlib.pyplot as plt, import numpy as np. We're giving the arrays over here, defining the arrays, and plt.bar x comma y. And when you run this, you got this bars. As I said, I want four bars, right? I got the 4 bars for A and B and C and D, right? So you just need is the bar function, right? To get this bar charts. There is something you can simply chain this category instead of the bar to like an horizontal bar or something like that, or like a vertical. So there is a fair simple method to get this horizontal ones. Okay, right? So horizontal bar, if you like to want the bars to be displayed in the horizontal instead of the vertical, whatever you got over here is a vertical one, but you want to have this horizontal bars. There's an only simple method. So here bar H will be representing like an horizontal, and when I run it, so look at this bar like an horizontal one, right? So just to differentiate, simply when you see the bar, you get this vertical, but when you say bar H, you get the horizontal one. So it's a easy to notify, and just in case if you want to change the bar color or something like that, it's a simple one. Let me give this example. So I want to change the bar color. I want to change it to red, right? So how does it represent? So here I'm simply mentioning the color name. So instead of saying bar X comma Y, color equals to red. So this time when I run it, I get this color of red. And just in case if you want to have this green, I think it should work. Okay. So I would say green over here rather. Okay. Prefer green rather than the red. So example, draw 4 green bars, right? I'm mentioning a color equals to green. So Matplotlib is very easy. It's not difficult or something like a challenging. And if someone wants to have this pink or something like that, you can still use a color pink as well. Okay, there are nearly 140 colors or more than that. Okay, so just in case if you want to notify, there are you can still Google it, right? So just in case if you want to use the color of like an pink or something, like an you can say okay. So this time I want to say like an hot pink color I want. So if you look at this, you got a pinkish color. They can just to notify the color. So you need to identify what are the different colors which are there, and make sure you utilize it in a proper way. Like in color codes are important. There are ways with where you can use these hexadecimal colors also, but you need to have the color codings in front of you before you apply and see what type of color coding if you're using it. And two more examples where and we are done with this Matplotlib. So this time I'm giving the color code like in hash 4CAF50. We get the color codes online. You just need to notify the color codes, what kind of color codes I want. This is actually a green, but you're notifying in the hexadecimal format and then showing it. So that's the difference. So what kind of thing you want, and you can also specify the width as well. Okay, so before heading up to the two other examples of histogram and pie chart, the last two ones, I'm just trying to give the example like and how we can notify the width. It's too if you see it's we think that okay, do we really need that much thickness and everything? You can notify the thickness as well. So let me notify like and draw very thin bars. So how are we going to have the narrow thin bars? I'm I will say like an x comma y width 0.1, right? So that will reduce the width, right? So that will reduce the width totally. So if I want to say 0.5 or something like that, see that will reduce the width. So in general, I say 0.2 or something, right? So look at the width. So width of the bar, I can simply reduce the width. So it's a fair simple condition. Plot dot bar x comma y width equals to 0.2. So there are two more examples before we end the session. And I think thank you for your patience. Taken like an half an hour extra today. So you can also specify like in height instead of the width as well. Just in case if you think that bar height should be so and everything. So there is something like that. If you specify example. So draw 4 thin bars, okay? So here and say x comma y height. So this time I said width, right? So this time I say height, okay? So you can specify, okay, how much height and everything. So 0.1 and something called horizontal, and that to the bar height, and I've used the bar h will for the horizontal, right? So if it is not horizontal, then you would have given like an, I think it doesn't work for this case. Yeah, it doesn't work in this case. That's the reason. So usually if it's from horizontal, the bar h takes a keyword argument height to set the height of the bar. So draw 4 very thin bars, and that too with a height equals to 0.1. So since we have used this thing like in height, right? So bar height. So let me see the bar height of 0.2, right? So I can see the difference. Okay, let me see the 0.5 difference. Yeah, the thickness and also the width. There's a difference also. That too for the horizontal, we are giving this command height equals to 0.2, right? And we have used bar h. Here it says bar. So this is for this vertical and this for the horizontal. So the last two examples is something called histogram. So let's go with this example, histogram, before heading into this pie chart. Okay, so it's very simple. A histogram is for usually if someone is having the statistical knowledge, it's very easy to understand. Of course, it's not a rocket science. So the histogram is a graph showing frequency distribution. Okay, so it is a graph showing the number of observations within each given interval. So example, say we ask for a height of 250 people, you might end up with an histogram like this. I'll give an example. Let's let me give an example. Like an paint, like assume like, so the histogram will look like this, like an height of people, like in within a variation. Uh, it's a fair simple one, but let's say let me give one example instead, so that will give the clear cut information, right? So okay, so the hist function which you're going to use it in this case. Okay, so example, what you're going to see here is import matplotlib, everything is all fine, but x equals to np dot random normal and plot hist. So these two functions which you have learned. So matplotlib invalid syntax, I think I've given the, okay, the comments, I need to provide the comments over here. So that is what the main thing. So it doesn't understand those text, right? Yeah. So let me run this. Okay, here's the histogram. So what I've skipped here is there is something called random. I would say there's something which I need to add over here is creating histogram in matplotlib. We use hist function. This function will use arrays. We'll use an array of numbers to create an histogram. I think, yeah, as an argument. So example, let me give this one. Okay, so normally a normal data distribution with numpy. So I'm saying that, okay, I had to give the comments over here. Okay, so import numpy as np x equals to np dot random dot normal. So that's what we are given. So we get the all the list of all the values, right? It's generating the normal random values between those things. We are not giving anything over here, but here what we're trying to give is it is going to give all the random values between 170 and also 250. So if we look at all the values, so it is giving all the random values. We are not mentioning anything. So it will pick the values automatically and it will display. All right. So it's like a normal data distribution in NumPy. That's what we're trying to say. So, and that too, when we try to plot the same information, Okay, when you're trying to plot the same information, so in a graphical representation format, so the histogram will look like the 170, 10, and 250, right? So here, what I've done over here is, in this case, I'm randomly generated the values over here, right? And the same thing, I'm trying to show it in a plot format, that to the histogram, right? How the values will be uh, shown in the graphical representation. So that's what the case. I'll just cut this, right? So it will be in a proper manner. So the last and the final example in the matplotlib section is pie charts. Pie charts you might have seen in the real life, the pie charts, but these are very simple, basic. Okay, and the function called pie, right? So here we got these two lines, like an import matplotlib.pyplot as plt is a common line, and import numpy as np, and we got an array np.array 35, 25, 25, and 15, and I want to have this pie plot. So plt.py of y, and then show. plt.show is to show. So you got this pie plot. So we have the results over here. So just in case you want to have the labels and everything, we can still give the labels in this case also, like okay, which color denotes which or something like that. So we can have the labels, add labels to the pie plots with the label parameter. Okay, there is an option to have the labels for this pie chart, right? So we have something called plt.py y comma labels equals to my labels, but here I'm denoting the my labels like an apples, bananas, cherries, and dates. For 35 apples, 25 bananas, 25 cherries, 15 dates. So when I run this, I get a clear detailed information like bananas, apples, dates, and cherries. So how we're going to label it, that's what the example is. We can also denote the angles and everything, and this lot can be done. Okay, but make sure that you understand this. And there's an option to explode this also, like explode in the sense, is the last example I would say. Explode in the sense, I want to separate them. Okay, so in this example, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to separate them into pieces, just like in a cake pieces or something like that. So I got all the plotting and everything, but when I run this, I got like an, see, I want to separate them, right? Second, my labels, apples, bananas, cherries, and dates, and plt.py, while labels, my labels, and explode, my explode. So here I've given as 0.2 only for apples. I'm exploding out here. So that's the reason. So here what happens is explode. Maybe you want one of the widgets to stand out, like an apples. The explode parameter allows you to do that. The explode parameter, if specified and not none, must be an array with one value for each widget. So it's one of the widget. So each value represent how far from the center each widget is displayed. Example, pull the apples widget 0.2 from the center of the pie. So the same case, if I want to say 0.2 over here also for bananas as well, you can still explode it, like in apples and bananas and this thing. I'm just trying to pull them apart and trying to show that. So that's the reason I've just done for apples. It's like explode. So here, what I've used, my explode equals to, I'm defining how far you want to explode it, and then show it, and giving the labels as well, like in my labels, and also explode. So thank you everyone, and thanks for joining. So next week we don't have anything. Okay, I'm giving a gap for 1 week time, almost for you like in 2 weeks time. Let's catch up on July 4th for a Python project, and I'll provide the details next week, like in what kind of project we're giving. And on July 4th, we'll catch up again with a project based on this 10 weeks sessions, like in what you guys have learned. So with this, I'll conclude and end the session. And thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining. And thanks, Asmita. Thanks, Shivani, Lija, and all. If you have any doubts, just send the messages on the WhatsApp group. Don't hesitate, or else you can send me individually as well. And we'll take it from there. I'll send this Python code and also the video recording very soon. And thank you for joining. Let me stop the recording.